Hi there, this is Eni Oken, and today I'm very excited to show you my brand new app. This is called Eni Oken's Art Raffle, and it is essentially a digital version of the lesson Bijou Raffle. If you remember, if you know that lesson, you know that the idea is to let the universe decide for you and choose the tangles and art enhancers for your next Zentangle project. So my fiance Alan and I developed it together. He did the coding and I did the art, and we're very excited about this new project. I want to show you a few things that you can do. When you first open the app, you're presented with 8 different slots, and you can add different cards that are pulled from a set of pre-made cards that we embedded into the app. So it's easy as just tapping anything and you get a picture, either a tangle, an art enhancer, a fragment, or a string, which you can choose by tapping it in. You can add others as much as you want. And if you come up with some that you really don't care for and you don't want to include in the raffle, you can discard it by swiping it up. So the basic game is just tapping and adding the cards to the raffle so that you can use these ideas to produce your next Zentangle project. Now, the app doesn't stop there. There's enormous potential for doing other things. I want to show you something really interesting. You can also examine and zoom in this picture. So let's see, this one is a little bit more detailed and I can really zoom in to inspect the picture. But the most fun of all is when you swipe and you can see the back of the card. And that's going to give you a whole bunch of information about this tangle or this art enhancer. And again, you can zoom in as much as you want. So everything that you might need to create this or to give you inspiration is in the back of the card. So again, if you flipped sideways, it'll switch to the front of the card and I can tap it again and accept it. Now that's just the beginning. I can also use this tab here and save as many different games as I want to save. So if I want to start a new game, I can just press this plus sign and give it a new name. If I want to get rid of some of these, I can press the edit and delete some of these. I can also choose to rename some of these by pressing on this little icon and giving it a name that's a little bit more meaningful. So here I have a brand new game and I'm going to simply tap any of them and look at the back of the card. There's a description, there's credits, and I can either accept it or I can reject it. Now the fun thing is that you can also use this little search button, and this is where the real power of this game starts. Here you have an enormous list of all the different cards that you have in the game so far, and new cards are being added all the time. This is going to be a permanent work in progress with new cards as I create them. You can also search by simply entering a few letters. Let's say that I wanted to search for the tangle Elish. You can see that as I start typing the first few letters of the word, the search is already narrowing it down. And so now I find Elish, and I can zoom into this. I can switch to the back of the card and look at the description, the step out, and either accept it or reject it, and then search for something else. Let's say that I wanted to add this concept of adding gold to my raffle, and in the back you can see that each card is completely different. Some will have step outs, some will have inspirational pictures, and some will even have recommendations of lessons that you can follow. Now this is the part that I really want to show you, these samples. When you tap on one of these samples, you are taken to a web browser which opens a page that has even more samples for you to inspect and look at. If you happen to have the iPad Pro and the latest iOS, you can also split the screen And when you tap on one of these samples, it's going to open here on the side on the split screen. And you can move this around as much as you want. So I like to do that when I'm inspecting the samples. I want to show you a few very powerful ways that you can use this. Aside from letting the universe choose all of your cards, you can also use this if you want to participate in an online challenge. So let's say that the challenge calls for a Zentangle. And it says, okay, the challenge requires you to create a Zentangle. So I can search for the card and inspect the back and place it into the raffle. And let's say that the challenge also requires you to use the tangle halaba. So we can pull up the tangle. Now once you've selected the cards that are the requirements of the challenge, then you can just let the raffle pick the other cards, and that's going to really boost your creativity. And I can either select and approve them, or I can simply discard them until I get cards that I find that are going to inspire me to create a Zentangle with halaba that I find interesting. Now here I sent Fangle away, but I really didn't want to. Now I'm regretting that. If you regret sending away the last card, I can pull it back. You can only do that with the last card. And here you have, so maybe I have 7 of these cards to inspire me to create the halaba Zentangle for that particular challenge. Another really useful thing that you can do with this art raffle game is, let's say that you found a picture that was really interesting and you want to understand a little better how that picture was created. So here I have an empty raffle and I have the picture, so I have a split screen, and I'm going to use the search and I'm going to analyze very carefully the picture and see what are the components that made this picture so interesting to me. So for example, I can say, okay, well, the first thing that I see is a sinkhole, and I'm going to tap that card onto the raffle, and I can add a few more things. I can see that there are a lot of scattered elements, of scattered pearls, so I'm going to tap that card into there. I also see that this picture used some decorative auras or borders, so I'm going to look for that. And here I have thin decorative border, so I'm going to tap that in. What else? This is the Tangle Elegant, but I don't have that in the raffle yet, so I'm just going to use Muka instead. That is close enough. And so I'm going to tap that into my raffle. And I'm going to continue to search and try to analyze this picture until I have enough that I feel that it represents this picture really well. And when I finally look at the raffle, I can see a really good analysis of what this picture represents, of the traits of the picture. Another really interesting way that you can use this, if you are a teacher, then you can use this to plan your next class. You can select different kinds of tangles that you might want to include in your class and different effects. Let's say that you wanted to use or not with colored pencils and maybe add a little bit of a dude. So that is going to help you to get a very good idea of what your next class is going to be. Speaking of classes, I want to tell you how you are allowed to use, what are the permissions that we are granting you when you're sharing the app. You can take screenshots of the raffle that you created and use them on social media and share them on social media, as long as they always have the words Eni Oken's Raffle. Even if you can even take a screenshot of the back, as long as it has the upper border here that says Eni Oken's Raffle. If you are a teacher, you can use the app in your own classes with your own concepts. You can use the app, you can show screenshots, you can play with the app with your students, and that's totally fine. The only condition that you have is that the lesson plans need to be your own. You may not teach my lesson concepts electronically in any way. No streaming and no Zoom, no video. You can teach your own concepts, and this will help you to create your own concepts. Additionally, the last and final thing that I want to show you is that you can really move the cards around in a way that makes more sense for you. So for example, in this raffle here that I have, I organized the cards so that they were displaying in the order that I presented it to the class. So I started with a wave string, then proceeded to use the tangle any shoe, pezzino, and so on and so forth. So this is it. I hope you really enjoy this app. And the best part of it is that it's completely, entirely free. No strings attached. Alan and I felt that this was our way of saying thanks to the Zentangle community, which has given me so much joy and such fulfillment in my career. So I hope you enjoy it and have a great time. The app is available completely free for the iPad and the iPhone for now, and maybe new devices will come later and new cards will come later for sure. So I hope you enjoy it.